John Swan, welcome back to Australian Musician.
Thank you, my friend. How are you?
I'm very well. And John Swan, in your 70s, you've released a duets album called Believe, that is
Yes.
quite possibly your greatest album ever. Great songs, amazing duets. Your
Yeah.
voice sounds fantastic. You must be very happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, I had 15 years of, I went and worked charity work, like I did all the homeless stuff. I was still playing music, but I was playing it to people who weren't paying me for it, which was the most rewarding thing you can ever do. I was playing palliative care in the morning. I was playing the Burns ward for kids in the afternoon. And then at night, I'd go in and do the cancer ladies when they're getting their chemo and stuff like that. Plus, I'm not here to brag about that, but it was lovely, and the fact that you get all these South Australian, the senior South Australian, I thought it was Mexican, like. But the reality was, I just got to see another side of life where music makes a difference. These people were sitting there, they were freezing. I'm sitting outside where in a park where there. I'm just playing guitar, and the guy says, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm playing guitar. What's it look like I'm doing?" And he says, "Do you want to come over here?" I said, "Yeah," and it was like, "Oh, mate," like no disrespect, but it's not the cleanliest place in the world. But I sat in amongst them and I played, and they said, "Do you know this?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know this?" And they said, "Geez, you're not bad for an old guy, I said, "Thanks very much," like. And that is what I fell in love with for 10 years. I found that by by giving of you myself, I was learning more about myself because but for the grace of God, there go I, mate. Drinking drugs. Hello.
Yeah.
Thank God I gave it away 25 years ago.
So when did you start thinking about this project?
Well, it was, I started thinking because a lot of my friends have been passing away lately, as all of our friends in the industry. I had the great loss with Mark. We were working with Kilo, and, he's such a beautiful man. And I won't mention the other guys' names because some of them are still alive, but the ones that have passed away. But there's a lot of them still who are waiting to go now, and we're talking about any day. And I try and visit them and talk to them and call them and Zoom and do what. And it's natural that it's the natural progression of life is death and taxes. As they so folk they laugh about. I think that it's one of the greatest gifts of all to be able to play music to them. So I was going in and playing music to these people who are passing away, and they you could see them going, "Oh," and I'd say to their wives, would say, what can we do? I say, go and get the kids a sandwich and leave me here with him, like, because I want to play some songs and have a yarn to him. So I played some songs and have a yarn to the guy. And I said to the guy, how are you really going? He goes, and excuse my language, he just say, fuck this, I'm just got this pretense on for the kids and the wife. And I say, drop the pretense. This is real. This is life. The kids have to see dad as you're going because you say things when you're speaking your truth. You can't say that behind a facade.
Yeah.
And I started playing the music. Anyway, I get this phone call at night, and this lady's 6 o'clock at night, and this lady says, "What have you done to my husband, Swanee?" I said, "Why?" She says, "He wants out." I said, "He wants out of there? You're kidding. He's on a drip." Like, so it's a palliative care centre. And she said, "He wants his guitars." I said, "Well, let him have them. He came on the road with me for 3 months. Every day we did the kids rehabilitation center for the brains unit, and he at first he was, how, well, you know what death looks like because it's grey and yellow eyes and that, but he all of a sudden his skin was good. His eyes were white, 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 very, very white. And he had his beautiful collection of guitars. He was a pilot. He just met this girl. She was 3 kids. He's got 3 kids, and they fell in love. Now they got 6 kids under 10, and he gets cancer.
Mm.
That's life,
Yeah.
and him getting out to play with us was one of these great moments of my life. And I was lying there thinking about all the good things that have happened in my life, and I thought the only thing I haven't done is sung with my brothers. I love my brothers to death because we all grew up in one bunk in a housing trust house. You know, the sort of bunk set up in one room, and they listened to whatever I listened to because I was the oldest, you know, and they were going to listen to it whether they liked it or not. And fortunately, as they grew up, you know, um, that stuck. And I thought I've got to sing with them. I've got to try and get a song where I can sing with them. And I sent a text to 13 people and it just said, I'm thinking of doing a duets album. Do you want to do one with me? And you know what musicians are like, they get back to you in a fortnight because they're on tour or they're overseas, you know. But the reality was, I was sitting watching the Matildas playing soccer, and my phone starts going ping, 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 and I went, wow. So, and it just was Diesel, Jim, Colin Hay. Colin Hay's in Peru playing in front of 100,000 people, and he came off. And his tour manager says, "What do you want to do, Colin?" He says, "Book a studio." He said, "Sure, when for?" He said, "No," you know, because he got the demo. He got the acoustic guitar. Ronnie Pierce played the acoustic guitar, and I sang on it and sent it to him just with that. So he sent me back three lead vocals with harmonies, three different harmonies, three different versions of the harmony as well. Him doing a third above, third below, the whole thing, you know. What you hear is there, except for the strings. I put the strings went on afterwards, um, and the same with Diesel's one. Diesel had, they all come back to me straight away. Diesel said, "I had a dream about you last night. I dreamt about this song you were singing." He said, "So I got up and I put a guitar track down. I put a vocal, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to send it to you." I said, "Send it to me now." So this is at 8 o'clock in the morning. Waking me at 8 o'clock in the morning is like, you know, my wife couldn't do it for 50 years. So but I did, and I had to listen to it. So I put a guide vocal on it and I sent it back. And I said, "Is this the idea?" He said, "That's it. That's it. Don't touch it." And I went, "Oh, but no, no, that's it. That's what I heard." You know, all you're hearing on that guitar is exactly the first vocals. He did it with the guitar. Your guy is, and everybody else. You look at them; none of them are slouches. Jack Jones, all of those guys.
Yeah.
But Diesel just wrote that song because of a dream, you know. And he's my brother-in-law, you know. Like, what can I say?
Yeah.
So
So,
it's even closer to the family, you know. So we got to the one with Jim with brother of mine. I wanted Alan in there because I want the three brothers together. Before I release this motor coil, I was definitely going to sing with my brothers, you know. And that's how the album started. No money, did it on my pension. A lot of help from Froggy, you know, from Songland. Couldn't done it without him. Um, Tommy Emmanuel gave me brother of mine when I was mixing. I was sitting in George and Harry's studio at Albert's and I was mixing. This time it's different. And Tommy said, I've got, because he played on everything. Tommy was just one of those
oh,
guys, you know. He was in every session that was ever going. And if you were there at 3 o'clock in the morning, Tommy would finish a gig and do a session, and then he'd come in to see me, see if I was okay, you know. And we'd sit and have a drink and a yap and that. And he'd say, "Oh, that's really nice. I like to play that. Can I play guitar on that?" "Yeah, sure, sure." "Oh, okay, Tommy." You know, like, you know, he's that type of guy. So he wrote that song with Steve Kipner, but they wrote it for Phil. Now, when it came time to my dream to come true, to sing with my two brothers, in case anything happens, because too many people passing, and I don't want to be one of them. I want to stay forever. um, Brother of mine, and I put it to Jim. Jim said, "I've already done it." I said, "Yeah, no, I got it." Because I couldn't put it on there. I'd already started mixing the album, so pass it down, and eventually he did it on Flesh and Wood. But I wanted Alan on there, so the three of us would do it. What a song! Written for Phil, with us three singing it. It's like a connection of things. That's what I wanted the album to be. That feeling that you get when we listen to music, that you touch somebody's soul. I never play music for money. I never play music to be a rock star or have a boat or, you know, I've had them. They're not worth nothing. The boat sunk. Being a rock star stinks because you finish up with a drug habit and an alcoholic problem. You know, until you get your life together and you suddenly realize it's the music that keeps you going, you know. And the players around you, the guys that you grew up with, look at them all. These guys that are on this album are my friends. They're not musicians. They they're guys who do what I do. They do it because they love it. Diesel gets out there on his own with one guitar and he just stands there and sings, you know, like that's what music's about. Colin Hay is exactly the same, you know.
Were you
Melinda Schneider.
were you able to record in the studio with any of the people, or was it all done remotely?
Oh, Alan, I did because he came up here, but you know, it was never meant to be like that. I didn't want to try it. And it would be lovely, but it's not for that. It's for to get the best out of the songs that we could get. We've got all the equipment anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. Over the years, we've collected more junk than you know, like, old mics that nobody wanted. Neumann's, hello. Some of them just don't know what they got until you know it goes out of fashion, and then I buy it. So most of these guys have got their own studios anyway.
Yeah,
They've guys like Diesel and Jim are 4 albums ahead recorded, you know, and they decide what they're going to do because they write for a living. They do that because it's like a meditation. I sit and play guitar, you know, like I'm not a guitar player, but after hearing Tommy and some of those guys in the studio and how when they weren't playing on the track, they were playing in the studio while I was doing other things. And I'd sit there and bring the faders down and have a listen to Tommy just picking a melody, bass line, and a lead part over the top of each other, sitting there going, how the freaking hell does he do that? You know?
yeah,
But that's what music is. It's
yeah,
repetition, repetition. You do it often enough. And what do you do often enough? Things you love.
yeah,
And I really wanted that to be the message for the album. I didn't really uh, want to get big stars in there. I got friends.
yeah,
I grew up with those guys. We starved together. We went out with each other's girlfriends. We lived in each other's, you know, they were sleeping in, oh, well, I was sleeping on their couch actually.
yeah,
But that's the sort of guys they are. All the way through their life, we've been together. We grew up together. We were nothing when we started. And each one of them still acts like they're nothing now. I was watching Colin last night on a Ringo Starr advert, you know, like, and he's just sitting there like this in Ringo Starr over there, and he doesn't give a monkeys. They're the guys I want to work with because when he gets in front of an audience, he starts to talk, and he may talk for he's a Scottish Bruce Springsteen. He might talk for like 20 minutes before he plays the song, but you'll hear not a word in the auditorium. They're captivated by him, and then he just starts playing. I can't get to sleep, you know, in a very simple version of it, you know.
yeah,
And to me, that's what personifies music. And I think that with this album, I don't say personified, but it's definitely my version of what I think it should be. Because my job is to touch your heart with the gift that I've been given, you know.
yeah.
And
So
uh,
there are all these amazing vocalists, amazing guitarists. What
yeah,
about the rhythm section, the drummer and bass players? With it, you did the drums?
oh, some Jerry Pantakis from Melbourne. On All I Ever Wanted, Rick Springfield's playing guitar. We got him from LA. Sorry. Uh, Roger McLaughlin. It was his last thing he played on. 2 weeks, you know, a couple of weeks before, I'm talking to him on the phone like normal, you know, and he's laughing and joking and taking a mickey at me, you know, and he said, "Oh, I know who did this." He said, "Leave it with me," you know. So he run me back, and it was just like nothing was going on. Do you know what I mean about life and death? So he got to play on this, I got to have the pleasure of having him play on it, and he got Jerry, and the guys got in contact with Rick. Rick's an old friend. I followed suit to Adelaide so we could find out, to Melbourne, so we could find out where Melbourne was from Adelaide. We were in an old Zephyr station wagon with all the gear, and I'm asleep on top of the gear, like, because none of us were old enough to have a license. That's how far back we go. So it doesn't matter how big these guys get, they've still got that. We all have that contact.
Yeah.
And I think that, sorry if I'm talking too much, I just get
No, go
passionate
for it.
because they're friends. They're not rock stars. Look, I can put an album together with rock stars, and I can get guys from overseas to do it who I've worked with. But these are people I grew up with, and I grew up loving and liking. And Mahalia, Diesel, Jim, and Alan, four people like your family in the one. The rest I would consider my family anyway. Russell was one of the most beautiful men in the world. Me and him sit and talk about boxing when we do about music.
Yeah.
you know, it's a friendship that's developed over a long, long period of time, and we've seen each other suffer, which is very, very close. You know who was the first ones to put their hands up when you were suffering? These guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I put my hand out, not cap in hand. Would you please do me the honor of, I'm doing an arm. Do you want to do it? Like, and so that you don't put them under any pressure. Why would you put your friends under pressure? But they didn't wait to answer. Bang, 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 bang. They were all in. And I can't tell you what they said, but it was F and off. Like, when did we start? Nobody said to me, "Hey, what are we singing? How much am I getting for it?
Mm.
Where are we going to do it? Let's make this work. Doesn't matter how you do it."
Yeah.
And it proves all the bullshit about the you know studios and Spotify and all that sort of stuff. This is done. No record company, no nothing. Just me and Froggy from Songland.
Yeah.
You know, and but let me say, I say humbly that it's guys like you over a period of years. You've got the same love. I've watched everything that you've done, and I've read everything that you've written up, and it's always the way it is.
Thank you, man.
That's no, no, no. It's true. That's why that's why it's called Australian. But you you know what we're talking about. So when you talk to your people and you're giving that your gift away, you are able to encapsulate the words that we want to say to the audience. I love it. I jumped up. I went into Adelaide and I did a couple of gigs with Gleeson, like and Kevin Borich, just because they're great guys, they're great mates. We had fun in the party boys. I've known Kevin since back when the Laddie Days were going. I was with Lynn Randell, and when she had Chow Baby as a hit, I was 14-year-old. So there's a long history from 14 to 73. You count it. I can't count that much.
And Borich, that's the other original that's on the album.
Yeah, do you know when that song was written? 45 years ago.
Wow.
At a bar, Virginia and his lovely wife, Melissa, gorgeous girl. She's a model. Um, Even today, she's the most gorgeous thing you ever seen in your life, like because she's into the holistic life. And look at Kevin for 78. He's in great shape, playing fantastic. None of these guys are on there for sympathy. They're on there because they're good at what they do and they're my mates. And, that just so happens that their families are my mates. So when we were around there having dinner, we were having a barbecue. And I was having a few cool and cleansing ones, as Steve would say. And it was, can you come out the back and stick a vocal on this for us? Yeah, sure. So we go out the back in his studio. Studios are like in those days. It was your garage with eggs all around it. Like so. I had a couple of more scotches and he put it on, and I just heard this, and I sang a vocal over it. 45 years later, he rings me up and he says, "I'm doing a duets album, mate. I'm going to stick that song that we wrote together on thing." And I went, "Well, there's a," straight into it. I knew the song because I was going to put it on there as well.
Yeah.
So we both got it on our duets album. You look at who Kevin's got on his album. It's all people he loves. It's not people. He really is good friends with Joe Walsh. He doesn't put in Joe Walsh because it's like Joe Walsh is a great guy. He's a very naughty boy, and so are all of us. I mean, I could sit and talk about the reason why I picked the songs. I didn't have to. They picked themselves. Joe, he's got that soul feel. Bump, bump, cried on me. Like you just know it's Joe Camilleri. Jack Jones, you can sing. He could sing a bloody, you know, the the menu at a restaurant. It doesn't matter what you give him. He's going to do a good job. So I picked songs that I thought would be suitable for both of us, not just for me. And it wasn't songs that necessarily my favorites, except brother of mine, and I really have a soft spot for. I nearly died when Froggy sent me "Should Never Let You Go." It's a Neil Sedaka song, sung with his young daughter. And I'm sitting here right where I am now, and I'm listening to it, and I just, it got me close to the edge of tearing up. Because as I get older, music means more to me.
Mm.
It touches my heart more. There's things that I love because there's not enough of that type of music for me. I don't mean that to criticize young kids. I just don't think they had the people to look up to that we did, you know. Um, Now, when I heard it, I just went, wow, who am I going to get to sing that? And I get, he rings up Melinda Schneider and he says, Millie, Mindy, have you heard Should Never Let You Go? And when you walk into, she starts singing it because she knows all those songs. You know why I love her? Because I used to fancy Doris Day when I was a kid, and she covers Doris Day beautifully, but she covers from Doris Day to Aretha Franklin, but she covered this one. And I must say, there's nobody in this album that I've ever gone back to and said, "Can you do that line again?" They give you the heart and soul.
Yeah. Who's playing piano on that one?
That's her piano player, and his name I can't remember just offhand. Please forgive me. Um, now that piano is Liberace's piano. He got it from the States,
All right.
so it was nice. There's never a big Liberace fan, I must admit, but he's a good showman,
Yeah.
and
So
um, and
let's,
he could play piano quite quietly. So.
yeah, let's talk about your vocals in the studio. How fussy are you with your vocal takes?
I'm my vocal tech. Uh, Um, I don't have any problems. I teach autistic kids. I go to palliative care. I do burns wards. I do all that sort of stuff. I'm singing all day. I enjoy what I'm doing.
Um,
Yeah.
so you just try and get it in one or two?
Well, if I don't get it one or two, it's not right.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to doing harmonies, I'm picky.
Mm.
Because I don't want it to sound too much like me, and I don't want it to sound. I try and you know. Sometimes you just do a straight third and fifth, but it's nice if you bend up and do the seventh, and stuff like that. And that's a long time of understanding it, so I don't really have to think about it. I listen back to it. I do it once. I listen back to it, and I go, "Yeah, that's it." It's no point sitting here all night trying to do a better harmony or a better lead vocal. If you haven't got the song down by the time you start singing your lead vocal and you don't know that song well enough, or if you have to have lyrics in front of you and all that sort of stuff, give it away because you haven't got your heart in it. You haven't done your homework. This is not a job. This is something you love doing. And if you're going to record it, especially, in the early days, it used to cost a fortune to record because the record company would hold on to everything until it was all recouped, which meant never. Now, with Spotify, you get point at 0.0003 of a cent per play. I got one for $15. It used to be 20, 30 grand. We're not talking that long ago. You're still getting royalties from Lady What's Your Name Carpenter. Hold your head up. So I think that what they've done is they've just it's just the same as everything else. It's the I generation. They don't give a monkeys about we. There's no I in we, you know.
So,
Um,
do you think you'll ever get the chance to play this material live at any stage
oh,
with any of these
of
people?
course I will. All the Chaparro brothers with Jack Jones and Russell and all them, they're all singing on the album. Do you think I'm silly? It's not that. They're just mates, and the rest of my family. So of course I will. I mean, it's not it's not something that is a driving ambition, but it'd be nice to be able to get up and let people see that you can still do it at 73 if you want to. If you're prepared to do the work, you'll get where you want to go. And I'm a real believer in if you put it out there, then it's no longer yours to judge. The people out there judge it. If they like it, they'll buy it. If they don't, they won't. You know. But from my side, this album is the best album I've ever done. And you'll hear people say that, oh, this is the best album I've ever done. This is my favorite single. No, they're all good tracks. They're all great tracks. Brother of Mine has a sentimental value because of Tommy and Phil, Jim and Alan, and myself. Um, Caledonia, obviously, with Colin, we're both from the same place in Glasgow. Jack Jones, anything. I've sat next to that guy and just heard him blowing. We were on a cruise and he's playing guitar and singing in the corner just on his own, waiting to go on.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing he would do. Joe Camilleri, he would be in the kids' rehearsal room. I was teaching at the Academy of Music down in Melbourne's Bank Street there, and they had rehearsal rooms, and you'd find Joe in there because he's in there. He's just got a new guitar collected. He's a guitar collector, mad, and some dirty rotten pig went and stole his guitars. I mean, how low can you get? Take the car, take everything else, take the home, take the wife. Don't touch my guitar. I thought it was the saddest day because if you knew how much Joe loves each one of those, one of them is a $300,000 guitar.
No.
That is just crazy, you know. And some dirty, rotten thief has stolen it, probably for some drugs or something like that, you know. God bless you. I really, really don't wish them. Yes, I do. They stole an instrument. They shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Well, John, we're running out of time.
I'm sorry. I talk too much.
No, it's fine. It's a wonderful album. It's great to hear your enthusiasm for it. And it's out on August 1. I believe the vinyl pre-orders have done pretty well already.
Yeah, it's done double album, and the CD's got 16-page booklet. So Froggy's done a great job.
Yeah.
um, it's music that I love, and I hope the people like it as much. Um, it's got the best musicians I can get on it.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't gone and tried to get an album for the sake of having it. It's for something that I can hold my head up, and when I'm gone, other people can listen to it and say it wasn't bad.
No. It's very good, in fact, John, and Believe
Thank
is
you.
out August 1, and it's been great to chat.
It is. God bless, man. Take it easy, eh?